In this video, we're going to be having a look at how to build this kit. This kit contains two different types of kites. One of them is a box kite and one of them is a diamond kite. And helping us today, we have Emmett from the Lego Movie. He's using this jackhammer. I don't know how helpful the jackhammer is going to be for the project, but if he does anything stupid with it, then this angry dwarf guy is going to hit him with a stick. Let's get stuck into what's inside this kit. So let's pull these bits and pieces out. When you're taking the things out of your kit, please just do it carefully so that you don't kink or break any of the pieces of cardboard. You'll find you've got a whole bunch of skewers, tube of wood glue. Just ease these guys out. Right, so here we've got an overview of what's inside the kit. You should be able to just double check that you've got everything that you need. You've got the two supports with the circle, that's these guys here. The 130 by 100 support, that's this guy over here. Then the L-shaped supports, that's these ones over here. You should have a pack of 4 double units connected together. 2 MDF handles, so that these are our kite handles that hold our thread, kite line. 1 black bag. It's a pretty big, heavy-duty dustbin bag. The sellotape. Your sellotape might not have been packed inside your kit. It might have been packed in the box that your kit came in. And if you don't have sellotape, then it's just normal sticky tape. Cold glue. Spoke about that before. Nothing special about that. Just normal wood glue. The Curious gum. Just got a little strip of that over here. This is basically like industrial press stick. What else have we got here? 2 times 9 meters of polyester thread. This is an upholstery thread. It's a very thick thread that helps us to, this is our kite line. And then you have 1 section of cotton thread. It's a lot thinner and finer, and we use this for tying sections of our kite together to give it support, and then the bamboo sticks that we have over there. So that's what you need, but this makes 2 different kites. So let's just separate those bits so you can see what you need for each kite. So we're going to start with the box kite because that's what we're going to be building first. You're going to need these guys. You need a couple of these skewers. You'll need 1 pack of your 9 meters of thread. 1 of these handles. These guys can all go straight across to the other side. You'll need your wood glue. No, probably not you. And that's it. So let's have a look at how to get building with these. Now the challenge is that the kites that we build with this are too big to fit under my camera stand. So if you have a look here, this is the box kite, and you can't really see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over from some of the base instructions here, and I'll show you some of the getting started stuff, and then we're going to move over to pictures on a desk that make it easier to see what's happening. So that's the box kite. The diamond kite doesn't fit under the stand at all, but I'll show you those in pictures when we get going. Cool, so let's get stuck into building our box kite. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we need to build the main beams that hold our kite together, our box kite together. So you're going to get 12 of your skewers, but the problem is that the skewers are not long enough to make any decent sized kite. So we need to work out how to extend these. So you're going to take 12 of your skewers and try and find as straight ones as you can. If you have a look, like this one's a little bit warped, so we'll check that one out and just grab another one, find a nice straight example. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 of these and we're going to join them end to end so that we've got a much longer single beam. And to join them, we're going to use our sellotape, and I'm going to start these squares at the bottom here on my grid are 3 centimeters apart. So I'm just going to line it up. I'm going to put a mark at 3 centimeters on the one side, 3 centimeters on the other side, and then that gives me something to just mark to go against so that I can tape these 2 together, I can tape these 2 together, and if we put 2 layers, a strip of tape here and a strip of tape here, it'll lock it together and make it quite rigid. So that we're going to do 4 times. So we need 12 skewers, we're going to make 4 of these long extended skewer sections. So I'll quickly do that now. Right, so there you can see, once we've extended the sections, the sticky tape holds it nice and firmly together, and we have one long skewer that we've made out of 3. So repeat that another 3 times and you have all 4 pieces that you need. Okay, so there I've finished all 4 sections. You can see I got lazy towards the end and I just wrapped the tape from the one side around a couple of times and then just angled it all the way down, and it's basically just one solid wrapping that's going across that 3 centimeter gap. Seems to work really well. So we've got the main beams of our kite. So now we're going to take these guys and these parts, and we're going to move over to the pictures, because I can't do what this needs to be done under the small space. But what you will need to do is just take these sections and separate them so that you've got 8 individual pieces of this. Yes, that sounds right. 8 of these, and then we're good to get going with the next step. Okay, I've moved away from my recording stand, and to give you an idea of what we're going to be building, this is what the box kite looks like. This is one of our prototypes that we built. It's been dragged around our offices and outside. It's bashed around on the floor a fair bit, so it looks a little bit tatty, but you can see why it's called a box kite, because really it's basically just 2 box sections that are joined with the long sections that we've made already. So we have our right angle pieces, all 8 of those over here. We've got our sections, our longer beam sections that are over there, and we've unwrapped our dustbin bag so that it's lying flat. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take a pair of scissors, and you're going to run the scissors all the way along the long edge on this side so that you have 2 flat pieces of plastic. It's no longer a bag, it's open, and you're going to do the same thing down the back end over there. Cool, so next you're going to grab your ruler, and we're going to measure the length of this section over here. From the one end to the other, you can see that, or at least if we look at the holes over here, the distance between the holes is about 13.5 centimeters. So if we just on sort of to round it off, say that it's 13 and there's 4 sides, 13 times 4 is what, 52. So we need 52 centimeters to go all the way around this way, and we need 2 of those so that we can do both sides. I hope my math is right on that 52 centimeters. If we look at this dustbin bag that we've cut both sides now, you can see that it's separated over here. So we've got 2 single sheets or separate sheets of nice thick black plastic. If I take my ruler and I measure, I've got 300 centimeters to there, and I move it across back to that point. I've got 300 centimeters there. 300 millimeters, right? Not centimeters. 300 centimeters is 3 meters. A little bit longer than we need. Okay, so we are going to have more than enough to go around, and we want a nice long tail for our kite. So what I'm going to do is, if you cut this dustbin bag up incorrectly and you need to get another one, it's just a normal dustbin bag. To get maximum efficiency out of this dustbin bag, which is the one we supply in the kits, I'm going to cut a strip about that wide. So let's see what that is, about 4 centimeters, 3 centimeters wide. We'll go 4. We can always cut it shorter if we need to. And we're going to use that because now this is a long strip. We can use that for our tails. And so I'm just going to quickly cut off 2 strips that long. If I cut off 4 and 4, I'm taking off 8 centimeters. I know that if I go 8 centimeters from the edge and I move that across, where was that? Let's see, 8 is over there. So just move it across to that point. I still have more than enough dustbin bag here to get the 520 or so I need to go all the way around. So I'm going to quickly cut a strip off going all the way through from this side all the way down to that side along the long edge, because this part over here is joined so that if I open this up, I will have one long tail strip that we can use. So I'm going to do that quickly now. Okay, so I've cut 2 strips. I just eyeballed it. I think that I did it reasonably accurately, more or less. And now you can see that if I take one of these and I hold it up, it's joined in the middle, and here we have a long section that we can use for our tail of our kite. And you might be confused as to why I did 2, because we're making 2 kites. So the one's going to be for the box kite, and the other one is going to be for the diamond kite. And at least kites need tails in order for them to be stable, and it aligns them to the wind, the direction of the wind and everything. So we're going to put those aside, and then once you've got this sorted to the right size, we need to measure these sections over here. So if we measure more or less, that looks like from that point to that point is 170. So now we're going to go and we're going to make 2 strips of 170 going all the way along here. This way, because we know that this length is the length that we need to go all the way around. So if you have a look here, we've got 2 layers. So we're just going to cut 1 strip all the way across. That gives us enough plastic to do that one and enough plastic to do that one. And what we have left is more than enough to do our diamond kite later. So let's get cutting on that. So I'm going to measure it to 117 centimeters, 170 millimeters. And this time I want it nice and square. So I'm going to do it very carefully, make sure that it is straight. Okay, so I've cut the 2 sections here. We've got 2 strips of plastic that we're going to use for our box kite main sail sections. And now I'm going to clear everything else out, and we're going to get going with this, and our sellotape. Okay, so we've got everything that we need. We've got our strips of plastic sheet. We've got our 4 extended skewers. We've got our 8 cardboard T, at least L-shaped profiles, right angles. We've got our Curious gum. As I said before, this is basically just like an industrial press stick. We use it a lot because it's just really flexible, quick to stick things together, but it stays flexible, so it doesn't get hard and brittle and stuff. We've got sticky tape and our scissors and our ruler. From here, I think you guys are probably big enough to work it out as you go along. I'm going to just throw up some pictures of what the different steps are as we put this together, and I'll give you a final advice on just how to connect this up with the kite line, and then you should be able to test your kite. So have fun, and I'll catch you in the diamond kite section. Okay, so I know I said that I wasn't going to show you any more video over here for the box kite, but I'm just going to interrupt in this little section over here to say how you connect what you do with the kite line bobbin, what this thread is for and what this thread is for. So if you have a look at the 2 different threads, one of them is slightly thinner and softer. The other one is quite silky and sort of quite a lot thicker. This is what we're using for the kite line. So what you can do is tie a knot on the end around the handle like that. This stuff doesn't tie well, and so you've got to really tie a whole bunch of knots to get it to be secure. This one's not super important because hopefully you'll have a fair amount of line wrapped around it, so it's not going to be under great strain. But you're going to take some of your line, you're going to tie it on like that, and then you're going to spend the next 10 minutes winding the thread off the bobbin that cardboard bobbin onto the thread handle. And so we're going to do that. Then that's ready. And then the other end of this, you're going to tie onto your kite line, at least on your kite side. And this is where this side comes in. So we use this thread because it's easier to tie. We'll tie that to our kite and then secure it nicely to the kite. And then from this one, this end of the line will attach to that, and I'll show you what that looks like in some pictures just now. But that's what you're going to do, and because there's 2 kites that you're building, that's why you have double two bobbins of this thread and 2 handles. And if you're making this kit yourself, there's a profile that you can cut this out and make this out of cardboard. Just going to double the layer because it's not as strong as the MDF, the wood, and you're going to do exactly the same thing. So have fun with that. Okay, so you've made your kite, you've got your box kite, you've got your bobbin, your kite handle, and your kite line wound. But how do you attach this to this and get this thing to fly? Well, to just give you some idea, the kite needs to fly at this kind of an angle. Okay, it's difficult for me to sort of get it into the picture, but it's going to fly like that, and air is going to go through the top and the bottom and then come out at the sides, and it flies at that sort of position. And this is where you're going to have to sort of find the optimum angle for it to fly. If you've got high winds, you want it to have, I think, a slightly sort of lower angle so that more air can pass through and you generate less lift. If you have it at a higher angle like that, it's going to create more lift because it's going to pull it higher. So that's the Stuart theory on how this box kite flies, but part of your project is to work out that and to understand basic aerodynamics in the process. So you're going to take a line and you're going to tie it to the top section of one of your corners, and then you're going to tie another end of your line to this midsection. So you're going to have one there and one there, and then you're going to use this this thread that we've got here, the upholstery thread, not the kite line, so the slightly thinner one we're using on this end. And you're going to tie about, I'd say about 1/2 meter or so. And again, the distance that you have from that point varies. We've given you a lot of thread, so you can experiment with that. You're going to tie this onto that side there, the other end onto that side there, and this somewhere in between, so that when it pulls tight, it sits at an angle, maybe start with around 30 degrees. And then it's about tinkering to experiment to what angle you need to get to this kite to actually fly. And so I'll quickly tie it up and show you an example of what it looks like if you're still confused, and then it is up to you. Okay, so you can see here, I've got my kite line, I've got it tied onto the other line going to the top. If you tie it into the Curious gum, it sticks and holds it on very nicely, but you still have to tie a decent knot, otherwise it'll just pull out. But you can see there, if you have your kite at an angle and you're putting it, it's sort of going to be pitching that kite at a specific angle, and you're going to have to play around with what the geometry is, the length over here versus the length over there, and the distance of it to see how you get it to fly at an optimal angle. And yeah, it very much depends on your weather conditions and other factors, but there you have a kite that is ready to start experimenting with in terms of trimming. So I hope that works. I hope that you have fun, and remember that this is quite a heavy kite, so you do need quite a lot of wind, or you need to be moving quite fast to get it to fly properly. Yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. The lighter the kite is, obviously the easier it is to get it to fly, or the lower the winds are that you need to have. And alternatively, the larger surface area that you have on your kite will also, much smaller kites fly in much higher winds. Big kites, large surface area, more suitable for low winds. If you have a big kite with a large surface area and high winds, bad things happen because the forces are too strong and things break. We still need to attach our tail to our kite. And so you're going to take that long strip that we cut earlier on, and you're going to attach it to the bottom corner of the same shaft that you tied the threads to, so that can help lead the kite into the wind, align it with the direction. And You can tie it a very similar way to the edge over there. You can tie it through. You can tie it from the inside, so you can actually flip it over and then just get the plastic itself in and around that section here so that it comes out. You can use whatever method you'd like to do that. You'd have to experiment with tying different lengths of different lengths of tail. If you need to increase the resistance of this, you can also tie little bows down the length, which then produce a higher drag, and the wind catches on that. So that's the final consideration. Then you have a kite that is ready. For your diamond kite, there's a very short section that I'm going to do under this camera stand, and then we'll move over to taking pictures on the table so you can see what's going on more clearly. But really, the things that you need to do over here before you get started with that is get your glue, get these little pieces or profiles over here, this guy, and your skewers. And this is really just the stuff that you need to start with to make the frame of your kite. So this is the center piece. Basically, we need to slot skewers into the sides of the fluting on the cardboard. So if you slide it down like that, and you take another one, you slide it down on the other side, that just allows us to extend these skewers so that we want them to sit in the middle, and simple way of making the skewers longer. This is the center piece, so we'll have a skewer sitting in from the top, skewer sitting in from the bottom, and from either side. So you're going to start, and you're going to uncap your glue. You can take one of them, and you don't need an enormous amount of glue, but you're just going to spread some of the glue out and glue these two sections together. You don't need a lot of glue, but you want to make sure that it's nice and covered across the whole surface, so that your kite is, the center part of it, your heart of the kite, is strong. Okay, done with glue for now, so I'm just going to stick the cap back in again. And right now, what's really important is that you get these two sections glued at right angles, because then your kite is always going to sit skew if you get this wrong. So I'm going to use these grid lines to line it up. So along the bottom, you can see sort of sitting straight along that line. I'm going to take this one, and you can place it down, and then you've got a little bit of time before it sets to get the positioning exactly right. So obviously that's really not straight. I'm going to line it up like that, and then get that there. Spend some time getting it perfectly square, and then press down nice and firmly for a minute or two, and you should have a very well fixed section of your kite center parts. So you're going to leave this for half an hour or so to dry. If you go straight into making the rest of the kite, by the time you're done, it should be pretty much as strong as it's going to get. The cardboard itself sucks out the water from the glue very quickly, and gives you a very strong bond. Doesn't take as long as normal wood when you're gluing that. Right, so you've got this section, you've got this section. These parts you're going to slide down into the center, and you can see that the core of your kite is already starting to come through here. So you've got the center part. It's going to run down. You're going to extend it by adding this section over here, and the frame of your kite is basically ready. Okay, so the process for making our diamond kite is way simpler, or at least I'm going to make it a lot shorter than what we did for the box kite. You're going to take those two sections that we glued together earlier on, the other extension section, and you can see how that fits together. You can immediately see the diamond kite shape coming through there. These slide in through the flutings down the holes there. When you stick these in, especially for the cross pieces, you want these to sit so that it's exactly the same distance from that point to the center and that point to the center. If you don't get that right, your kite will always fly to the left or to the right. So you need to make sure that the distance from that point to that point is the center of it is exactly in the center of your kite, and you're going to just need to measure that carefully. You're going to take some of your line and take a bit of your Curious gum, stick it onto the end of each point on your kite, and you are going to then take your thread and tie it around that end, run it all the way along to that end, all the way along to that end, all the way along to that end, all the way along back to the starting point, so that you create a perimeter around your kite. That just allows us to then, when we fold the plastic over it, to give the plastic some support so it doesn't flap off, and yeah, that's it also strengthens the kite. Okay. So I'm going to quickly do that. I'll take one more section of video to show you what happens there, guide you on the final processes, but the diamond kite is largely up to you to experiment and get this to work. If you have a look here, this is the amount of plastic that we've got left over. The center seam is around there. So we've still got a whole nother section of plastic that you can still use. If you mess this one up, or if you're not happy with how it works, you can start again. So don't be scared to experiment. That's the whole point of this part of the project. You need to customize this kite. And if you get stuck, or if you break something, have a look over here. This is one of the early prototypes of that kite. And you can see I just used 2 pieces of cardboard to prove a concept. I was having an argument with one of the guys on my design team and said we can make kites really simply. And this is really everything that you need to make this kite. You don't need a super complicated kit. And you can see that the tail is tied in on the bottom. So I'll give you a quick video of an intermediate state between what we've got over here and the final thing. And then we'll quickly have a look at the final one, and then you guys are up to building it on your own. So I've attached the thread around the perimeter of the kite, just wrapped it around, stuck it to the Curious gum, wrapped it around, stuck it to the Curious gum, brought it all the way back, stuck it to the Curious gum. I've trimmed the edges. I've given myself about 3 centimeters of extra space all the way around the edge. I'm going to fold these over around the kite line and then sticky tape them down. And I'm also going to put sticky tape on to hold the frame to the kite fabric or the plastic. And one of the great things about putting the Curious gum on the end is it sticks really well to the plastic. So it holds the plastic in place, and you can use that to make sure that everything is straight and the edges are all sort of square. Remember, I said that if your cross pieces are not 90 degrees, your kite is always going to fly skew. So you need to be careful to make sure that that's centered and that's in the right place. What I did also is I put a little pencil mark on the edge over there on this section, which aligned it to the center of this part here. So if I know if I shifted, then the center is no longer in, or this main section is not in the center of this section over here. So you can take some of your sticky tape and you can tape it down across the center like that to hold it in place. And you're going to put sticky tape in wherever you feel it's necessary to hold the kite in sort of in the right position. This section over here, I would recommend taping it down so it doesn't slide up and down and off. And then your final part, like we did with the box kite, you need to tie a tail on. You need to tie the rest of your thread somewhere along this section over here, somewhere along this section over here. I would recommend around there. And that's also going to then use to pitch the kite as you attach it to your kite line. Okay, so there we have it. What we've got is we've got a line attached on the central axis. You might need to put another one across on this side to stabilize it laterally. It's going to come from your experimentation. I've got a tail attached to that. You're going to experiment with the length. Start with longer rather than shorter, so that a longer tail means it's going to be more stable. You're going to attach your kite line to the center of this. If you think about how you want your kite to fly, you're wanting it to sit into the wind like that and catch the wind as it sort of moves into the wind. So the angle that you have going this way is going to be dependent on how up it goes and how much wind it catches. If it's going to sit like this, it's going to be too much. It's going to catch a lot of wind. It's going to chuck the kite out of any direction. And from here, it's really a matter of tinkering, experimenting to see what is going to be the most effective kite profile and angle, and all of the research that you should be doing are going to come through and be applied in that. But there is the base of our diamond kite, and from here you're going to experiment and you're going to customize it and make it look super cool. So I hope that you have fun flying your kites, playing around with the different designs, the different angles, the experiments that you are going to do with this, and that it was an enjoyable process. Even if you can't get your kites to fly incredibly well, or if you live in Joburg like me and we never have wind that is really great for flying kites except for August, and then it's very gusty wind and makes it very difficult to fly kites nicely. But I can run fast, so I can get my kite to fly that way. It's just you can only do it for so long and then you're tired. Cool, have fun, catch you next time.